everything in this cup, and if you played this cup today, I'm sure you've probably seen a lot of these. Dragon Breath is only resisted by steel types and fairies, which of course are not available in this cup, meaning that Dragon Breath is just hitting everything for neutral, of course, except for dragons. Hello everybody, I hope you're all having a fantastic day. Welcome on into the video, hit that like button, subscribe for me if you're enjoying the videos these days, and let's hop on into it. So we get a very interesting lead here. It's Gyarados. It's a bit of a core breaker for my team, so I have to shield it quite a lot. And in comes Dragonair. Now we actually swap out at the same time, and we CMP the opponent. Will the opponent try and take swap, or will they take shield advantage? Honestly, I'm happy if they take swap, because I'm really relying on fast move pressure. The opponent has gone ahead and let it go, and in comes Altaria. I predicted that they will have another dragon in the back, and of course Altaria it is. Now you can see here that we're running Dragon Tail in this first match. This is not by design, you do want to run Dragon Breath, but I just built this Dragonite today for the first time. So definitely pretty excited to be using this for the first time ever in the Great League. We're going to fire off the Rock Slide, the opponent shields it up of course. The opponent goes for a catch but they mistimed it, and we're going to get off the Rock Slide. The opponent realizes, they see the writing on the wall and smash the phone off the wall, and we get a core breaker for the next match. Deoxys pretty much beats our entire team here. They do not throw a move and they come into Snorlax, so I know at this point I can flip switch. We equally pace to these moves, Dragon Breath is more oppressive, and the opponent lets the first Body Slam go. So what I'm going to look to do here is go for one shield and farm this thing down, and look to realign my Dragonite on the Deoxys at the front. I do not want my Dunsparce getting farmed down by Deoxys, and the opponent comes in with a Swampert. This team is absolutely core broken by dragons, and you're going to see here that Dragonite is going to look to farm this down. With this team, I pretty much farmed down so many teams with 2 shields. Dragon Breath is just so oppressive, and to be honest with you, if I could make an alteration to this team, I think Dragonite is the weak link in this team. I would actually suggest going for Shadow Kingdra or regular Kingdra if you have it. Also Gyarados could be quite a good option, because of course it is neutral damage to ice types. So I would consider making those alterations to this team, but overall it worked very well. Now this team is pretty much like the biggest core breaker to it, but as you can see here, we're going to come into Dragonite. I think I'm looking to eat the energy here in Dunsparce first. I'm trying to get off as much damage as possible, and I'm going to look to shield once. Yep, the opponent goes for the Thunderbolt, does not take me out. We're going to shield this one time, and look to farm this thing the whole way down. The opponent has a low health Swampert in the back, and at this point there's absolutely nothing they can do. As long as you have a shield for Dragonite, it can farm down just about anything in this cup. Now a piece of advice that people have given me in the past is, have a look and see what all our content creators have uploaded today, and try to build a team against that. And I think you're seeing this right here. I'm pretty sure Junk has uploaded this today. I don't really watch people's videos before I build my team. I just kind of wake up and think, what do I want to use today? And you know, this is what I decided to use. So it kind of is weak to the team that Nuller creators put out. So you're going to see this team quite a lot, but you're going to see that we can beat this team, and that Dragonair is just so oppressive, and it actually does very, very well against Dugong. Like, considering this is an ice type versus a dragon, we're taking them down to really low health, and that's allowing us to basically farm them down. Now the Deoxys is going to be back on this, and we're going to have to rely on Dragonite to go for the sweep. The opponent will fire off a move. I have to shield up everything, unfortunately. There is no bait move in terms of this, and in comes Girafarig. Now Confusion is another move in this cup that is only resisted by all our psychic types, so just like Dragon Breath, Confusion is super oppressive. We do get both shields off the opponent. Now this Pokemon has similar pace to Umbreon, exactly the same in fact. You get to these drill runs in 4 rollouts and then 3. So I threw after 4 here, and I know that the next one's going to come in 3. The opponent just threw off their move, so I'll get to this in 9 turns, they'll get to the Psycho Boost in 10 turns, so we will outpace, but will this be enough to take them out? It just about isn't. If I had a few more Dragon Breath's damage on this thing, I would have been able to take it out. So super unfortunate. This is about the worst team you can possibly face, or one of the worst teams, and we almost beat it. So we get this team again. Can we beat it this time? They swap into Frostlass this time, and guys, you're going to see here that Dragonair versus Frostlass is nowhere near as bad as you would think it is, especially if they let the first move go. I'm going to look to farm this thing the whole way down. So you're seeing here, even with this double dragon team against ice types, we're farming things down. We're getting super hard countered in the lead. We're farming down ice types in the back, and we're looking to realign. And even though we are taking switch, it really just depends on what the opponent has. They have the Dugong here. The one problem I sort of had with this was, you know, taking switch requires a shield. And if they have 2 ice types, you know, if you don't take switch, you're going to get Dragonite on an ice type. So you sort of have to try and take switch, but then you're leaving Dragonite in a position where he's down a shield, which is never a really good spot to be in. So this is still going to be very, very tricky. Back in comes the Deoxys. Now, unfortunately, they pace us equally to these moves, and I think they were just a headback counter as well. So what we're going to look to do here is try and CMP them, which is about the best thing I can try and hope to do here. I think, you know, like I said, I would definitely make an alteration to this team, and just make it that it's not super weak to Rock Slide. I think Kingdra would be a better position for the backline. Like Shadow Kingdra, if you have it, would be very good there. Gyarados, of course, is still weak to the Rock Slides, but it is nowhere near as glassy, so I would probably look to consider using one of those two. I found Dragonite, it was great for farming stuff down, but I was left in a position sometimes where that was happening. In comes Frostlass in the lead, and in comes a Kingdra. I'm going to look to chip this and dip this. I think that Dragonair beats this Pokemon, but I just want to be absolutely sure that I take Switch. Yep, the opponent lets it go, and look how fast we're farming them down. This is going to be an Octazooka, which is resisted. We do not get a debuff, which is amazing, and the opponent's going to come in with Frostlass. Now, like I said, you're going to see here that these Aqua Tails really do put a big chip into this thing, and we're getting this Ice type into the yellow, which is amazing. Now, Frostlass is such a heavy-hitting Pokemon that this one move will get us deep into the yellow, so I do respect this move, and we're going to shield up. Avalanche coming free here, and the opponent swaps into Dragonair. What I like to do with this thing is try and get a shield off it, or chip it, and look to farm it down with Dragonite. The opponent lets it go, and our switch timer is actually locked. I think I was a little bit bad with my switch clock there. Now, I do shield this up, but I was just basically trying to swap out as soon as possible, not trying to catch the move there. We're going to try and farm this down, we get the full farm down, which is amazing, and we're going to look to farm down the Frostlass, and the opponent can tell their friends that they got a 2-shield flex against me. Good games and very well played. Like I said, these Pokemon are just so oppressive that even against, bad matches, as long as you're ahead in energy, or as long as the opponent can't get to a move, you can just absolutely clap these Pokemon, and yeah, definitely a super fun team. Now, we're getting better leads here, we're getting a Dugong lead. What will the opponent do? They do decide to stay in, and Dugong is so bulky that this is not as bad as you would think it is. We do outpace, but I'm sure you guys can probably see what's about to happen. They shield up the first one. It's like, okay, you're shielding up the first one, I wonder why. Yep, of course, I see when this is going to come through, and the opponent's going to just continually debuff us here. Are they going to shield up the second one? Probably not. I think they're happy enough to let these go at this point. As you can see, they can probably eat another 2 of these now, or it's going to take at least another 2 to take them out, because we're going to be like triple debuffed by the time we get the third one off, which is pretty unfortunate. This second one's coming through, and yeah, this is still like looking very awkward. Pretty much like one drill run would take us out at this range, so like this is a pretty awkward matchup, to be honest with you. I think I decide to let this go because we've got the problem out of the way, and I want to keep a shield for my Dragonite if possible. Now, in comes Hypno. We're seeing confusion users in this cup. So the last cup was more like RPS. We're going to see a lot more fast move pressure teams in this cup. I so far actually did really like this cup though. Do I shield this up? I think I do shield this up, because I think that, yeah, I decided to go for the instant swap. The opponent comes in with a Gengar, which is a super spicy pick, and they're going to go for the Shadow Punch. Will the Shadow Punch take us out? It just about doesn't, and we get off the Dragon Claw. Very spicy pick by the opponent, but this thing hits like a truck. So in this cup, it's going to be more of a traditional limited meta, where the opponents are going to be using fast move teams. The opponent had just free off their Ice Punch, so I know they're not another move. We're going to fire off the Body Slam, it just about doesn't take them out. And I got a huge lag, and I thought the opponent was going to somehow like farm me down or something, but we do take that match, and that's a good game. I definitely anticipate to see a lot of fast move teams, but so far I've seen a couple of these, and I've seen a lot of very traditional teams, like your Noctowl leads or your Lantern leads with Medicham and Lantern Noctowl, just that pretty boring team from last season. You're going to see that quite a lot. Even though the meta says that Medicham's like ranked 30 something or 40, like that Pokemon is just so strong against everything. It doesn't quite have the same targets with no Registeel and Stunfisk in the meta, but it's just such a strong neutral Pokemon that with the Ice Punch coverage and of course the hard-hitting Psychic, which as I mentioned is not resisted by anything, that makes that Pokemon super strong anyway. We decide to swap out and look to go for Farm Down. Unfortunately, the opponent does get to another move here. I know I can live a Sky Attack, so I'm going to let this go and try to save the shield for Dragonite in the back. Now we're going to fire off this Aqua Tail. We've seen this team in the the Single Type Cup. I guess people have used Cofagrigus and started to like it. I've seen a few Cofagrigus today. Now I can resist the counters, or the Shadow Claws, or I can farm it down. I decide I want to come in for the farm down. We're going to shield once and get a ton of energy in this thing. If you think that Dragonair is oppressive, look at Dragonite. This thing is just ripping through the coffin, and but what does the opponent come in with? They come in with a Lantern. We're super far ahead in energy, but the opponent's up a shield. So what I might look to do here is go for a catch. I can't really eat a Thunderbolt at this range. Yet we go for the catch. The opponent does not throw, but as a result we do get off the drill run, and we'll see what the opponent does here. Now the opponent's going to have to throw a move to take us out, otherwise we're going to get to another move. Now, will a Surf take us out of this range? What does the opponent do? They throw a Thunderbolt, so I'm like, okay. They go for another move. This can only be a Surf. And at this point, they have two low health Pokemon. I'm just going to insta-throw this move. It doesn't matter if I take out the Noctowl or the Lantern. I'll be able to outpace both of them to the farm down anyway. And in comes Noctowl, boom, good night. So I've seen a few similar teams to that. I did see just like the basic bitch midi team that you would see. But yeah, generally I've seen quite a variety of Pokemon. Frostlass lead, amazing lead for this Pokemon here, Dunsparce. And in comes a Dunsparce of their own. Now what I decide to do here, because this is not like super comfortable for Dragonair, maybe it is and I just don't know the matchup very well, but I want to get this chip down, and I want the opponent to throw energy on me. So we go for CMP, the opponent does end up winning CMP, and I would almost like them to throw twice here, I'm going to fire off my move here, see what they decide to do. And if I have to shield once and farm down with Dragonair, I feel like that could be absolutely fine here. Will the opponent get to the move in time? Yes, they do, just about. We're actually going to let this go because I can live this. And of course, they do have a Frost Dust in the front. I'm happy enough as long as I'm able to basically get off 1 or 2 moves on this thing. And as you've seen before, we can get the Frost Dust deep into the yellow with this thing. They actually come in with Wall Rain, I think they realise it. And we're going to look to try and get off 2 Body Slams, which once again will put this Pokemon super deep. Look at the health of this Wall Rain. This is an Ice versus a Dragon. Pretty unfortunate not to get that move off. And at this point, we've got 2 shields. I just respect anything here. Icicle Spear will hurt. Like, I don't have to try and, like, you know, predict a beat or anything. I just shield everything here. This is absolutely fine. And I look to try and go for farm down with Frost Dust later on. Or with Dragonite. Yep, in comes Dragonite. I'm going to outpace to the move here. And it depends what the opponent does. If they go for an overfarm, it's going to be a little bit tough here still. Because as you guys seen earlier, 1 Avalanche, you know, will still take you out. So probably could have played that a little bit better. But I think it was just kind of a tough backline. This is an amazing lead. Jellicent, of course, the hardest hitting move they can throw is Surf. Now, the opponent throws straight away on 4. I probably should have known that I lost CMP. I think I end up CMPing the opponent a couple of times here, which is a little bit unfortunate, but that's absolutely fine. Drill Run coming through. I know if they only have Bubble Beam, like, this is a super dominant matchup for me. They have to be running Shadow Ball. There's no way it's Bubble Beam Ice Beam or Bubble Beam Surf. It just wouldn't make any sense. So this is going to be just boring for a minute here. We're just going to fire off moves. They're going to fire off Bubble Beams, going for the constant debuffs. And what I'm going to like to do, I'm going to be like triple or quadruple debuffed here. What I'm going to like to do is pretty much come out with a ton of energy and most likely swap out and try to save this energy for a potential flyer in the back. The opponent's going to get off another move on CMP. I don't really know the count for Bubble Beam anymore because nobody really runs it. I guess the opponent hasn't heard about Surf yet. Surf is just generally a lot better. This match is way less comfortable if the opponent has Surf. And look, at this point, I know this is just a Bubble Beam. Worst case scenario, Shadow Ball, which is not going to hurt that much. And we're going to farm this thing the whole way down, coming out with almost 2 Drill Runs. Now, since I'm debuffed, I'm going to swap out. In comes Altaria, and in comes Walrein. Now, we're going to outpace to the first one, and as you've seen from the previous matchup, you know, this is going to hurt the Walrein a lot. They're already, like, in 20% health range. Like, that is insane, and I can actually just shield this up and farm it down if I want to at this point. Dragonair is just so oppressive that it's actually beating these Ice types. Shield once and farm down an Ice type is insane. We're going to fire off this move, and the opponent's basically in a terrible position now. Dragonite, with this health range, will just basically 2 shield farm down this, or 1 shield farm down. They get to the Sky Attacks in 15 turns. We just shield once, farm down, and once again, the opponent's getting a 2 shield flex. But I mean, was it really worth it? Just a bit of advice, if you're ever playing against these teams, do not be frugal with your shields. These teams rely on fast move pressure, and the only way to really beat these fast move pressure teams is to invest your shields against them. If you're left with 2 shields at the end, like if the opponent had a shielded twice, they probably win that match. It doesn't matter where they shielded it. They just let moves go, which is not really how you play against these teams. Now, in comes Noctowl. I think I completely misplayed this match. I was trying to get the opponent to throw in bad timing, and as a result, I end up overfarming above 100 energy, which is terrible. The opponent's going to fire these moves off straight away. I was trying to overfarm by 1, and like I've wasted 2 rollouts of energy, which is so bad, and I'm forced to shield here. The opponent catches on Licky Tongue, and this is just horrible now. I've completely misplayed this match, and we're going to come in with Dragonair and look to try and rectify things. Now, we definitely do outpace, and we definitely live a Body Slam, so we're going to eat the first one here, and look to get off the second Body Slam on close to CMP. I decided to actually just go for it before they get to the next one, and look to see if the opponent wants to go for farm down. The opponent commits to it, and we should have maybe got the move off, but I think they were just a little bit too far ahead. Now, Dragonite cannot really eat moves. Do I let this go? We do let it go, and like Licky Tongue is a very bulky Pokemon. Look how low we are. We're in a terrible position at this point now. Can we somehow still win this match? Dragon Claw coming through, we come into Dunsparce, go for the snipe with the Rock Slide, see what the opponent wants to do. And we just need to be seeing something very good in the back. It is a Surfetch, ladies and gents. There's just no way I can win this match, unfortunately. Surfetch is going to farm this down, get off multiple moves on my Dragonite, or maybe even just commit to a farm down on me because, you know, look how low my health is. So yeah, just unfortunately, but the opponent throws a move. Ladies and gents, they've given us a win condition here. Can we actually get off these moves in time? We get off the Dragon Breaths, we live 1 more counter. The opponent needed to commit to the farm down, and our win condition was the opponent basically throwing the match, and we do manage to get that win. Guys, thank you very much for watching, hope you enjoyed. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and, you know, maybe try out this team a little bit later on. I think a double counter backline would be super strong at the moment, because everybody's going to be running, you know, a team that they've seen from a content creator, so I highly recommend that. Hopping into the final match here, we'll see this really tough team again and see if we can beat it this time. So the opponent stays in here, goes for a Psycho Boost, and I'm very, very happy with that. In comes Kingdra, so this is a little bit better than it was before for sure. Can we get off 2 moves in this thing? It's going to be very, very close. Can we get off the second move? We just about don't. Now we're going to come back in probably with Dunsparce here, and I don't really want to eat anything on Dragonite, of course. Yeah, so we're going to let this move go. Probably is just the Octazooka. Yeah, in comes Octazooka. Doesn't do that much damage. Now I'm going to overfarm as much as possible here. They were only like 2 turns off the move, so that's a perfect overfarm. Had to make sure that I'd done that perfectly. And now we're going to insta-swap into Dragonite and look to sweep with it. We have a Drill Run loaded, so we're going to be in a pretty good position, hopefully. In comes Lantern, so this is still looking pretty good, actually. We overfarm, try to CMP the opponent. The opponent farms up to 7, and I think I'm going to just respect this move. I think even if they land a Thunderbolt, I should maybe just about live it and hope to get off multiple moves. Yeah, they go straight for the Thunderbolt, which is amazing for me. Can I get the farm down? I realise they're going to get to another Thunderbolt, so I look to fire off this move. The opponent lets it go, and in comes Deoxys. Now we're going to be relying on fast move pressure. We fire off the move straight away, because I know that I can get off maybe 1 or 2 drill runs, and the opponent is going to have to throw a move against this. They can't just look to go for a huge overfarm. So this is looking really good. They throw off the Psycho Boost. We're going to throw after 1 here for good timing, and will this be enough to take them out? They're going to be getting pretty close to a second move. We do take them out. Guys, thank you very much for watching. Hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day. Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on post notifications, and of course, join us in Discord. Thank you everybody, and I'll catch you all next time.